Okay, everyone, welcome to the second video in this series, Learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript the practical way. So, if you haven't checked out the previous video, I would like you to go back and check in there. I listed out some things and resources and tools we're going to need and be using. So, I hope you're prepared. How for this particular video, we'll be looking at creating a text editor. So, without any further ado, let's see what we are going to be building and working on. Okay, so here's what we're going to be building, and I'm just going to leave it right here so as to guide us. Now I'm going to start from scratch and guide you right from scratch. So let's get started. So here's the folder my files are going to be in, all of the project files for this course, and I'm also going to upload every single one of them to the GitHub repository so we can have access to each and every one of them. So I'm going to just create a new folder right here. So the name of my folder is going to be text editor. Now, if you installed your Visual Studio Code the right way, there should be an additional option you get here. So if I should right click on my folder, okay, I'm going to say open with code. So it gives us a shortcut into opening our folders. Okay, so we have Visual Studio open here. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a new file. I'm going to call it index.html. All right, and then create another file sheet. So it's going to contain my CSS file. So it's going to be style.css. And then the third one, which is going to be for my script file, my JavaScript. So I'm going to name it script.js. All right. So the first thing, my boilerplate for the HTML document. So the first, sometimes it takes a few seconds after. Okay, so right here, I'm going to click on this. So what that basically does is it gives me the boilerplate for my HTML document. So all HTML documents starts with the document declaration, and then you have the HTML tag. Then inside the HTML tag, then we have two major tags, which is the head, opening tag for the head, and the closing tag for the head, which is the head element. We have the head element, and then we have the body. So the body element is where everything on your web page is displayed, while the head element usually contains things such as your meta tags, your title. So to illustrate that, I'm going to come here and change it to text editor. So I have an auto save feature enabled. So every time every changes I made automatically gets saved by the second. Okay, so let me come here, and inside my text editor I should see these three files there. Okay, so we have them here, so I can just open directly. Okay, I'm not seeing anything here because I've not added anything here. So we just have text editor, that is the title. So if I should come here and I should change it from text editor and I should change it to something like building a text editor, and I should, well, it's automatically saved. Come back here and refresh. So it automatically changed to building a text editor. So that's what the title uh, element is for. So let's move into other things that we actually need to do. Now for ease, I have an extension installed, which is uh, Live Server. Yeah, yeah, which is Live Server. So you can try installing that also. What it does is it enables you to be able to create, um, serve your pages right from your Visual Studio Code and into your browser. So it is actually very simple and easy to use and very, very good. So all I just have to do is right click and then open with Live Server. So it's going to start um, a server and at a particular port. So everything I do now, it's going to automatically reflect here. So let's say I had a P tag and says hello there. I'm learning HTML, CSS, and JS. Okay, let's go back here. Okay, let's try that again. Right click, open with Live Server. Okay, so let's make some changes again. Hello there, I'm learning HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Yay! Alright, so that automatically refreshes. Alright, so as you might already have guessed, everything we output into our document, it has to be wrapped in tags. What this tag does is the format. What HTML essentially does is it formats whatever we want to put right there. So it tells it that, for example, if I should create a UL tag and then I create li, okay, and then I put a let's say milk, and then I come here li, then let's say honey, and then let's say right here I put li and then cookies. Okay, so if I should come right here, you see it automatically adds a link. That all is all possible due to the tags that you had. Actually, tags are currently I think about 213 directly to you can use in your Now let's get started on what we actually need to do. Okay, the first thing right here, I have a heading telling me Maestro's online text editor. Then before we have all of these buttons, so that's what I'm going to do. The first thing I'm going to come here to is my H1. I'm going to add okay Maestro's online text editor. Okay, and right here I should have okay. Then the second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create, there's a particular tag named the div tag. So I'm going to create div. Now the div is a block element that is used to usually used to segregate or arrange um or how would I put it, to divide and categorize your layout. So for example, I can have a div tag here, and the tags that should be here would be maybe something like um, p tags and let's say um, paragraph 1. So this is to show that okay, I have a particular section here. You can use it to divide your work into sections. All right, so what I'm going to do is I have my div tag right here, and inside my div tag is where I'm going to put all of this, everything right here. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is we give this a class. All HTML element can take in attributes. Yeah, and one of the such attributes that is common to every one of them is adding of classes and IDs. This allows you to uh, be able to select them and to add CSS styling to them in your style sheet. So first, I'm going to leave this, close rather. So I'm going to add a class and I'm going to name it text editor main. Now, inside my text editor main, I'm going to have, so inside here, I'm going to have another div tags. So I'm going to put div, okay, that's the first one. And then the second one, div, okay. So what are these div tags for? Then I'm going to add a class for this, which is going to be for options. So that is going to stand for all of these options right here, all of these buttons that we have here. So, okay, div class for options, and then I'm going to have the second one, which is class, which is going to have output. So this is going to have contain this output we have here. So that's the first step. Then the second things I'm going to add is my are my buttons rather. So I'm going to put button. Then the button tag works in such a way that whatever I put in between here, let's say button, oh sorry, button, okay, button one, and if I let me duplicate that and okay, then we have button two. Okay, let's look at this. Right here we have button one and button two. They don't look pretty and they do nothing. So but to make things easier, since I'm going to be adding some attributes, so let me start by doing this. Button, okay, class equals, well, okay, class equals my button, okay, so this is font awesome. They have amazing, okay, so here we have font awesome. They have tons and amazing fonts that you can use for your website. Okay, so how do we get started? Okay, so once you click on start, okay, there are tons of options for you. You can either enter your email to create an account and they're going to send you your kit code, or download, install on desktop, use Node Package Manager, npm, yarn, etc. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my email, which is okay. So send kit code. Oh, okay. Just for that, I have a backup email to use. Okay, there's something is wrong, maybe with the network. So let's refresh and okay, so previous account, have with them. Okay, and that's sorted out. Sign in. Alright, the first thing you need to do is go to create a kit, and that's pretty much easy, and automatically you have access to one free kit in your free account. So what I'm going to do is, okay, come here and come to kits. Okay, right here is my kit. Alright, I think you have access to more than one kit. You don't know for sure. Alright, so here is the code, the CDN code. So all I just have to do is copy this code, and the instruction is right here. You copy and put in your head tag. So all I just have to do is come right here and paste. Okay, then the second thing I need to do is come here and click on icons. Okay, let's just copy the address, bring it here, and then paste. Okay, so we have these tons of icons to use. This particular icon, I can just open it in a new tab, and it's going to tell me which um, class I'm going to use exactly to get. Okay, let me give you a sample. So if I should come here and button, I put class equal FAS FA, then hyphen undo. Okay, so let's move there and see what it gives us. Okay, so once we scroll down, we're going to see uh, the HTML code for that. So you can click on copy, and if I should bring it right here and paste it, and we go to our project. Okay, let me refresh that. For translation purposes, we don't actually need. Okay, I think we need to have the I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, 21 times. Okay, so we still have a couple more ways to go. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and then the last one. Obviously, we're not going to have undo button for every one of them. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to see which icons. Okay, this is for redo, obviously. So undo, then we put redo, and then I think this should be bold. Then we have italic. Okay, then we should have underline. Then we should have strike through. Okay, And then, okay, we don't have an icon here actually, so just my text. So I'm going to select the three of them to remove the icon tags away. So what I'm going to have here is h1, then h2, h3. Okay, then the next one I should have for superscript. Okay, and then subscript. Okay, then I should have for list. Okay, I'm not exactly sure if that's the right class, so I'm going to search on font also. I'm going to do something like, okay, lists. So let's see the results it brings back. So, and while that searches, let's see what we have now. Okay, so we are having our icons gradually. All right. Okay, so here is our icon. So the first one we have is the list UL. So we have two type of list in HTML essentially. We have the unordered list and the ordered list. So, and that is the representation we have here. So we have the list UL and the list OL. I almost got that right. Okay, so we have first the list OL and list UL should be list. Okay, what are the next icons? Okay, then we have the align. Okay, let's see if I can actually get it right. Okay, align left, then align center. Okay, then align right. All right. Then I think after that we have justify. Okay, align justify. I have a little extension that helps me with that. Align, then justify. Okay, then the next thing I want to add, let's check it up. Okay, for images, let's see if we can get that right out of the bat. The next thing we get that. Okay, again, I'm not too sure, and when I'm not, I okay. So let's see the result that brings out. Okay, and yeah, all of our buttons and icons chain up gradually. Okay, just link. All right, almost guessed that. Okay, then we have for quotes. Okay, we have quotes and then we have quotes left. And then the last thing I think should be our code. But I'm not so sure about that, so let's search for code. So let's see. Okay, I think we pretty much have everything here. Okay, confirming. Yeah. Okay, even though we actually added this first. Well, no matter. doesn't matter much. Okay, the one we're looking for is okay, code. All right, and the last one I want to confirm is our quotes. So okay, quotes right. And actually, it should be quotes right. Okay, and then the last is FA code. Boom. Okay, and then we have that. So yeah, I'm going to change it to content. Okay, sorry, that was wrong. Content output. Okay, and now, I don't know if you've heard, but there are three ways to, add your styling to your uh, website. And the first one is using inline styling. So for example, I can come to this H1 here, I can say style. So it's an attribute, HTML attribute. I can put, let's say, color. Okay, I want the color to be, let's say, white, and then background color. Okay, let's say black. Okay, and now let's check what our web page looks like. Boom, it gives this particularly nice background color and text color. So you can decide to do that, but then the issue would be for each and every one of your elements, you have to write a CSS, inline CSS for each and every one of them, and that's not optimal. Using inline CSS is not optimal. So I'm just going to click that, remove that. Another thing you could do would be, sorry, another thing you could do would be, okay, let's say I want to add my style tag right here. So, and then up here, I'm going to put, okay, I'm going to select this particular H1, and then I'm going to put it in my curly braces. Then I'm going to tell it, okay, I want the background color to be black, and then the color itself to be white. Okay, so let's check how that looks like. So it basically gives us the same, thing, but I prefer to segregation. Yeah, I prefer to have segregation, each if we're going to use our CSS style sheet here, particularly use my link tag. So all I have to do is link. Link tag does not require a closing tag. So in fact, the Emmet extension that comes with VS Code will just help you in suggesting. So I can just put link, and right here you're going to see for different resources. So if you want to add favicon also, can use this. So I'm going to click on this. Automatically it's going to put all of this, and automatically it assumes that okay, you're using a styles.css. So now let's try the same thing right here in our CSS file. So H1, I'm going to put background color. Okay, I want it to be brown instead. All right, let's see what that gives us. Oh, here we have it. So this is much better and optimal. Okay, so we have, believe it or not, we already have everything we need. Now, the way I love to work, which is, I think is the standard procedure anyway, is build my layout design first before going into the functionalities. So the way it is, you see, obviously it looks different from what's here. I mean, okay. So I'm going to actually style it right now. The first thing I want to do is, okay, body. So what's going to happen in my body? I'm going to give it a background color. Okay, I don't remember the exact color that was used there, but let's see. I think it should be one of these, no, colors. So let's see which one is it. Saddle brown, no. Pale, no. Doesn't resonate. Okay, I give up. I'm just going to use brown. Okay, so let's use brown and let's see how that looks. Ooh, different from these. Okay, no matter. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is remove any padding, natural padding, and padding just stands for space. And now let me give you a brief what's it called for that. If I should use my h1 tag, okay, the first thing I'm going to target is, let's say, background color. Let me give it this particular color, and then I come here. You see right here at the edge, it's not spanning towards full width of the web page. So that means there's still some extra spacing that my document, my browser automatically adds for me. So I'm going to say no, I don't want any additional space. So, and padding is used to control space. So I'm going to come here, padding, and click on 0. All right, so let's see that. Okay, let me refresh. Okay, what about margin? Let's see if that works. Margin 0. Okay, margin works. Okay, I'm going to remove the padding option then. Alright, so things are starting to look good. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is right here, make sure this particular section looks just like this. So I've forgotten the exact color that I used. So I don't know which exact color I used, but I think I copied it clipboard. So what I'm going to do is, let me drop this. I just prefer to arrange my things. Okay, so on my H1, okay, white 6Fs. Alright, so I'm going to put text align. So to align it, I'm going to align it to the center. Alright, I'm going to change this instead of background color to color. Alright, so we have that. Okay, the other thing I'm going to do, okay, the other thing I'm going to do is add a margin top. So the margin, a margin to the top, and I'm going to give it, let's say, 30 pixels. Alright, now another issue is selecting which tag is nice and cool, but let's say I have another h1 tag, let's say somewhere at the bottom here. Now it becomes a problem because I'm not able to, I'm adding the same styling for this and this, which is not what I actually want. Okay, I'm adding the same styling for this and this, which is not what I actually want. And that is where CSS classes actually come into play. So I can decide to add a class to this, okay, and then put it title. Now, whenever you want to select classes in CSS, you use a dot notation. Yeah. So instead of h1, I'm just going to change it to dot title. and that is going to work just fine. So it's going to add the styling to just this and has nothing to do with this. Okay, so let's continue. All right, I'm going to remove this particular h1 tag we have here at the bottom. So what do we do next? Okay, I'm going to change this. Okay, yeah, I think I got it. All right, let's see. Aha, looking better. Okay, first let's style our button. So remember, we use the class of my button text. So I'm just going to copy that. And then remember, we use a dot notation to select. Okay, what am I going to do? The button up obviously already looking nice. So the first thing I'm going to do is add a background color. Okay, I think my clipboard I have some. Oh, sorry. I think I have this. I'm going to use this color. All right, so let's see how that looks like. So I'm going to put border none. It automatically adds some out of the box that you use with HTML. It doesn't really look nice. Okay, right, padding. I'm going to add some spacing. Okay, so I'm going to add 20 pixels. Okay, is that what we want? Okay, so let me use 5 pixels. Oh, let's use 10 then. Alright, starting to look a bit cool. Okay, so now with CSS attribute properties rather that requires values, you can add different values. Now I need you to understand that CSS values actually goes clockwise. So that means the first, if I should add an attribute, the first applies to the top right here, and then the second applies right here. Okay, um let me give you a demonstration. Now let's add a background to this, our title background color. Let's put it let's say slate blue. Now we have this. Now for for CSS, there's a particular property which is border radius. So it's basically used to add rounded corners to your element. So if I should put 20 pixels, now let's see what that does. You see it automatically curves it here and here. Okay, let me change that to lighter and brighter color. So, and then we make these 000, which is for black. Okay, so now border radius. Now you can actually do that and specify for each edges. So that means, okay, let me add a bit of padding to illustrate that. Padding, let's say 40 pixels. Okay, so now I can add for individual edges. So 20 pixels, 50 pixels, 30 pixels, 100 pixels. Let's see what that gives us. Now you see this particular shape. The first one we added 20 pixels. So which gave us this, So I lighten this part. Now we'll see that this particular aspect here, is the one we gave 20 pixels. Now right here, you see this part is more curved than this. So this part here is the 50 pixels, and then here we have the 30 pixels, and then this 100 pixels. Okay, So now let me reduce that into just 20 and 50 pixels, and let's see what that gives us. Now that will, the one for 20 pixels is going to affect the top left corner and the bottom right corner, while that for 50 pixels is going to affect for this and for this. So that edges, I mean values for each edges, or and actually everything together. So if I should change this to 20 pixels, so the reason I'm taking my time to explain that is we want to know. Okay, so I'm going to undo. Okay, so for our padding, what I'm going to do right now, for now, let me just comment this out. So for CSS, you can comment using these symbols. So the beginning of your comments and the end of your comments. All right. So I'm going to, for you to be able to see the colors that we actually use. Okay. So what I'm going to do is for my padding, I'm going to do something like 10 pixels, 15 pixels. Okay. Can you just see what happened? So 10 for up and down, and then 15 for left and right. So that's basically what I just did. And then what I'm going to do is give it a border radius. So that's just to make it curve of 4 pixels. Okay, I think let's make it, let's check 10. No, I don't like that. Let's make it 5. Okay, so we have that. And then another thing I want to do is my options. Okay, let's make it options right here, which is the div tag that contains all of these buttons. I'm going to add a bit of CSS to it too. So dots, options, then I'm going to put it, what should I use? Okay, background color. I'm going to put background color of, okay, this same color we used right here. All right, so we have the background color set. So let's check. Oh, now starting to look nice, right? All right, and then okay, another thing is the color of the button. I don't want them to be too deep, so I'm going to put okay. Now VS Code out of the box come with something to help us, so I can just over on this, and it's going to show me my color palette. So I can adjust this bit however I want it. So I've made it lighter, so I can over on it again, over on the color, and that way you can actually experiment with color however you want. All right, I think it's better right now. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is add padding. So I'm going to add a padding of 20 pixels. Okay, a bit too much, right? Okay, let's make it 10. All right, things are looking good. Now there is what we call pseudo classes in CSS. So that is just to describe some different states, and one of the most commonly used one is over. So if I should put a column right here and put over, so I'm telling my browser that okay, whenever anyone overs on this particular element, these are the CSS style you show instead. So for example, let's say okay, I can decide to add padding. We added 10, 15 here, so I can decide to add, let's say 20 pixels, 30 pixels. Cool, right? So okay, you see automatically whenever you over on it, it increases. So but what we're actually looking forward is, the first is adding a cursor attribute and making it pointer. Let's see what that does. Now whenever you over on it, it gives you a hand. You see, that's the first thing we want. Okay, let's just remove this particular thing away. It's a bit annoying. All right, so what's the next thing I want to do? Okay, I'm going to add a background color. Okay, I think I should have a color right here in my clipboard.
which is okay, which is this. Okay, so let's see what color that gives us. So yeah, this nice and sweet color. So that way you can know which button you are actually hovering on. So that's really nice, right? So then I'm going to bring back our background. Okay. Okay. And now things are actually looking good. All is well in Wells view. Okay. So the next thing I want to do is I don't want this to span through my browser. Obviously, we are working towards this in mind. So the first thing I'm going to do is the mother container of everything, which is this, the text editor main. I'm going to select it. Okay. So I'm going to come here, paste it, and in the front of it, remember dot notation. So I'm going to put in my curly braces, and then let's see. So the first thing I want to do is width, adjust the width. So make it 1200 pixels. You can experiment with different values to find what you want. Okay, so let's see what that gives us. Okay, it gives us this, which is nice. But then the next thing we want to do is want it to be in the center. So we use margin for that. So our margin, and then we use auto. So auto automatically places it in the center. And then we actually had margin top. So we want to add a bit of spacing to the top, which when we do that, let's see, let's add 50 pixels. Okay, so you see we have that right here. Pretty nice. Okay, and for this I can try to increase my icon size a bit. Now my body text, then I can put font size, let's put 20 pixels. Let's see how that works out. Oh, scary. All right, let's reduce it to 15. Okay, I think it's a bit looking good now. Don't you agree? Okay, we've done that. So the next thing I'm going to do is our content output. So I'm going to come here. Okay, I'm going to add a bit of styling to it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a background color of white. Okay, it's not showing yet because we don't actually have anything in. But before we get back to that, there's a particular attribute I want to add which makes things look cool. Alright, so we have box shadow. So this is essentially to add a shadow. So I think I'm going to play with figures such as 0.3 rem. I think that's what I use. 0.9 rem. And then I've actually forgotten the particular color. So, but for now, let's use 000. So basically what that does is, you see, adds this particular shadow here. Okay, so how do I get this particular soft shadow that doesn't even seems to be showing that I had it right here? Okay, what I'm going to do is this particular color. Now, right here, you see, I can actually adjust the color. And that's not just the thing I can adjust. I can actually add or adjust the transparency. So if I should move here, you see the way it looks like right now. So, okay, let's make this 0, 0, and 0. Okay, let's see what that gives us. Okay, it gives us that nice subtle, but let me reduce it a bit to 0.1. Alright, I think I'm okay with what I'm actually saying here. Okay, so now let's get back to this guy here. So I'm going to add a height attribute. So I'm going to put it in, let's try 300 pixels and let's see what that gives us. Wow, looking nice. Okay, so we have 300 pixels right here. So let's make it, increase it a bit to 400 pixels. Okay. Okay. Now, another thing is I'm not really comfortable with this shadow right here. So it's not looking faded. I want it to be faded. Now, if you want that, you have to add a third attribute, which is, let's say 0.9. Let me add 0.9 rem. So let's see how that looks like now. You see, yeah, it has faded out, which is exactly what I'm looking for. Okay, so there's doubts on that. And then we have these things are looking good. Would you agree? Okay, what other thing is left? Now, we're going to be making use of a particular function, um, built-in function in our window object. Don't worry if you don't understand that. I'm going to explain later in our script tag. Now, what we are for that to work, what I'm going to do is add another attribute to this div class. So I'm going to add content editable. I'm going to put it to, I think that should be true. So, okay, let's check that out. Okay, I guess I was wrong. Okay, let's try that again. Content editable. Okay, let me remove that. Okay, there's something wrong with our live server, so let's reopen it again. So maybe that's what caused the issue earlier. Okay, come on, live server, open sesame. Okay, we have it right here. Okay, let's go with the latest one. Okay, content editable. All right, it's working now. So just in case, let's make sure it's set to true. All right. So wow, it's working. That's nice. Now you see, this is an issue we're having, but we want it to be contained within this particular flow. I'm going to put, yeah, we're going to use the flow. Now automatically you see it breaks nice. Another thing is it's too close to the edge. I mean, what the hell is this? Okay, uh, add a padding. So let's add a padding of 30 pixels. All right, now things are looking good. All right. Okay, so I'm going to highlight that. And another thing you can do is automatically you can set the let's try that font size, let's say 30 pixels. Now let's see what that gives us. So automatically you can make it bigger, you see, automatically. So another thing I think I'm going to do at the moment is reduce, okay, reduce the size for this. I mean the height. So let me put it at 350 instead. And then for the font size, let's put it at 20. So let's see how that works out. Okay, things are actually looking good. All right, the next thing which we are going to actually add is our floating button right here. Don't forget that. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to add a particular div here. Then don't worry, this is just a shortcut. All right, so in it we're going to add our eye. So let's say Okay, let's see if that actually works. Okay, not exactly what we need actually. Not exactly what we need. So let's search for, okay, compress. Okay, no, expand. So, okay, expand arrows. Alright, so changes to expand arrow. Yeah, is A. Let me just make use of my shortcuts. So FA. Okay, the reason I'm having these suggestions is because I actually installed a font awesome extension for VS Code. You can search that and install also. So I'm going to put FA4 Alt. I think that should be expand. Okay, I think I'm missing expand. Okay, arrows. Alt. So let's check. All right, we have what we need right here. So let's just style it. Okay, so I'm going to click highlight my class. Okay, let's paste it. All right, the first thing I'm going to do is there is a particular CSS attribute of position. Okay, goes line by line elements, which means that when it automatically starts from new line. Now, every officially. So that's the no positioning of things, but I can actually alter that. So for example, I can just change the position right here, change the position to, okay, is that supposed to be? Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is, okay, I have my position fixed. Okay, I'm going to add a background color. I'm going to post tomato. The next thing is add a padding. Remember, padding is for spacing of 30 pixels. Okay, and then the next thing I'm going to do, let's see how that looks like. Okay, add a height. Okay, this is the height I want it to be 30 pixels and width of 30 pixels, just to make sure that everything is the same. Okay, all right. Then the next thing I'm going to do is border radius. Okay, make it 50%. Okay, starting to look good. So let's reduce the padding to 20 pixels. Okay, what about 10 pixels? All right. So that is that about that. Now, when you use the position attribute, you have you're telling the browser that okay, no matter what happens, it should be in this particular position. So you have some particular attributes you're giving. So like top, bottom, left, and right. Oh, sorry, right. So I can use that to actually control where it is. For example, if I want it to be located maybe right beside here, that's like some few pixels to the top. So I can decide to use top, okay, 30 pixels, and let's see, it automatically comes here. But no, I want to adjust it relative to the bottom. Okay, so I want it to be somewhere around. Okay, so I want to adjust it relatively to the. I want to adjust it relatively to the bottom. The bottom. So I want it to be, let's say somewhere around here or here. So I'm going to put the bottom to the right. Okay, I'm going to pixels also. Okay, right here. Okay, still not okay. Let's say something such as 50. All right, that's looking better. then 60. So you can experiment with these attributes um, as you deem fit. So the next thing I'm going to add is the box shadow. So to separate it from um, what we have the other elements. So let's add, I think I'm going to add 0.3, something similar to what we used. So let's just copy what we used right here. All right. Oh no. Okay. So we have it here, but it's not very distinct. So which property should we add? Okay, I think I'm going to add, okay, I think I'm going to add 0, 0.5 and 1. Let's see how that plays out. So let's reduce these and raise this to 0.2. Okay, I think it's looking a bit okay. Then the next thing is I'm going to change the color of the icon inside. So color, okay, IFFF. Don't forget that's for white. Okay, so let's see what we have. Okay, the high icon inside is not looking very good, so I'm going to click on floating button again. Now for you to select specifically a particular element that is inside another, you use this sign here. So that means I'm just going to do this. Okay, the floating button, the inside I'm going to target that. So what I'm going to do is padding right. I'm going to add a bit of padding to the right, which is, let's say, 20 pixels. Okay, I think margin works in this case. Margin right. Oh, sorry, that should be left. It gets confused sometimes. All right, so let's check that. Okay, too much. Let's make it 10 then. Okay, how about 7? 7 okay for you? Yeah, I suppose so. Okay, then the next thing is margin top. Margin top. So let's add 4 pixels. Let's see how that plays out. Okay, can increase it to 5. All right, looking good. And then the margin left, let's increase it to 8. You just have to adjust that to you are, good with that. So the next thing is, I think the top still needs a bit of adjustment. All right. The next thing is, okay, don't forget our pseudo class. We're going to add for floating button. And then the next thing I'm going to do is, the first thing rather, I'm going to do is the cursor should be a pointer. So if you look at that right here, yeah, giving us that hand sign, letting us know we want to, click on something. Okay, so cursor pointer, then the background color. What should be the background color in this case? I'm just going to use tomato, but okay, let's see what that gives us. Yeah, looking nice. And then another thing is, just for fun, I added a transform. So I'm going to put rotate. And so what this basically does is you can add a transform to add a particular kind of transformation. Yeah. So it might be that, okay, it should scale up, it should increase. There are a lot of things you can add, but I'm just going to put rotate. And what I'm going to put right here in this particular function right here is 360 degree. So that means I want it to rotate 360 degrees. So if I should come back here and okay, let's refresh that and let's see. Okay, so what have I done wrong? Okay, all right. I think let's try this. Transition all is in out. Okay, let's try this. Transition all is in out 0.3 seconds. Okay, so that works, right? So that's nice, right? So let me just let's put it 0 first. Okay, okay, that's just to even out the shadow. All right, so what happened earlier is transition defines the amount of time it takes to for your over effect to take place if it's changing property from one thing to another. So if I should remove this out, so let me comment this particular part out. So automatically, if we should look at it, both the background color and everything has changed. Now, for you to see what I'm actually saying, if I should specify it to, let's say, an angle such as 75, you see, it just automatically moves to that particular angle. So let me put it as something like K, let's say 45. So you see, it automatically moves to this particular place. But because the starting point and the end point, when you rotate 360 degrees, you go all around back to the starting position. So that's why it wasn't actually showing or being visible. It actually performed that particular task. So, but the transition is going to allow it to take a particular amount of time, giving it a smooth, well, transition. So right it faster, you can actually put it 0.1 seconds and let's see how that's going to, okay, 0.3 seconds for us to enjoy the animation. I think basically we actually done with the basic things. So, hello. And another thing I wanted to do is, okay, let's go back to our content output box. Right here, the font size, let's reduce it to, let's say, 18. And then we can actually change the font family right here. So let me just choose something out of the box here. So let's use this particular font family. So let's see as it refreshed. All right. You can see the text is a bit different from what we had earlier. So I think for this, I'm going to put it back here. Let me just put one rem. All right. So all of these advanced concepts will be things you don't understand. Don't forget to ask me. Put a comment below. And all of these things that seems difficult as we proceed in this particular course and in this series, you will begin to have a better understanding of everything. So don't worry, I got you covered. So let's say, okay, I think the board is back to normal. All right, for the font family, let me remove that and let's try another font family. Okay, so you see one of the reasons I love VS Code. So let's say I try Gilsons. Okay, so using that, you see it has changed. So anyway, that is up to you, but I'm just going to remove that. So just something I wanted you to take note of. Okay, so I want you to breathe, go through everything we've done. Just breathe, go through everything we've done and see if you can accomplish that. Or you can just take a break while we move into writing the functions for our JavaScript. You see right now, even if we do all of this and I do this, it doesn't work yet because we've not added the functionality. All we still have is just the design. But we want to get to this particular stage. Okay, so I can make it this and then centralize. So this is the stage we actually want to get to, and we're going to get there. So
Okay, so we're going to be making use of the document.exec command. So let's see what that is about. So it basically takes in three parameters, which is the command name and okay, whether you want to show default UI, but usually in Mozilla Firefox, it's always return false and then a value argument. And if you don't have a value argument, you have a null. So we're going to see what that is about, but then these are the commands we're going to be using. So I made a bit of TML. So what I just essentially added um, are the data attributes. So now let's quickly give a quick overview to that. And as usual, I'm going to drop the description, the link to all these below. So the data command attribute rather, it's look at it as something that allows you to actually create your custom HTML attribute. So I can create normally we don't have a data column attribute, but by appending these columns to this data and giving it 3, you are able to actually access it, and you can access it with JavaScript by just a dot notation here, article.dataset.columns. Okay, so that's what we're basically doing. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select all the buttons. I'm going to create a variable using a const. Sorry. Then I'm going to name it buttons. So, okay, buttons is going to be equals to document. So we're going to look into our document and we're going to select dot query selector all. So in it, what is common to all of these buttons? So is the class. So I'm going to copy that. So since we are selecting with class, we're going to use a dot notation, same way we did with CSS. So, okay, if I should console.log buttons. So let's go into our console and let's see what that gives us. Okay, that returns a node list. So, and you see each node, it's just like an array of every element, all the buttons we have, and each one of them is for a particular button. So the node list is similar to an array. So though it's not an array. So what we are going to do is we're going to write a function using the for each method. So buttons dot for each. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write for each one of them. So button. So I'm going to have this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to write my buttons dot for each using the for each method. So what I'm going to do is button use an arrow function. So here we have it. Now this button refers to each button inside of this node list. So what I'm going to do is for each one of them I'm going to write an event listener. So I'm going to put my button dot add event listener. So then it's going to be click. We're going to be listening for the click events. So I'm going to okay. So here we have this. So what are we going to do? So basically what we're going to do is define another variable here. So let my events equals to document dot dataset dot, sorry about that. So for this we used okay, remember for this we use the command, so it's going to be command. Oh, and I think I made a mistake, so it's going to be dot dataset dot command. So, and then the next thing we're going to do is then we're going to use our documents dot. Now let's look at the syntax once again. So here's the syntax, document dot exec command. So I'm just going to copy this. Okay, so paste this. Now instead of this a command name, so we're going to have a command name here. So it's going to be my events. So now remember the second value, so because we don't actually need it, and then the third, it's going to, now if I should highlight and click on this, you see it actually is applying everything we want. So underline, it's getting underline, strike through is going to get strike through. So here it's going to come to the center. Now it works, but it seems to work fine, but there is one problem we have which you might have not noticed. If we should use this, it's not working. And also images, it's not working. You see, it gave us a kind of error, and also our hyperlink. So here is the issue. Now if you come into this documentation and you read through it, you're going to see that okay, for you to have something such as this, which the heading etc, which what essentially it does, it adds um a block, it add a block level element to it. So for us to have things like block quotes, h1 to h6, heading tags, address, and these, we must use the format block. So which is why we are going to still comment this out. Okay, okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to write an if statement, a conditional statement. So when we have this when we have something such as insert link, I think, and for image, okay, I think the image should be somewhere, yeah, insert image. So it should give us another option. So so if my event is equals to, so we're going to copy this, so insert image, so let's copy that. So what we're going to do is we're going to write a conditional statement. So what I'm going to do is if, okay, my event is equals to, now what we're going to do is for this, for our image link, we create link. If we want to create an hyperlink, we have to input a URL. So I'm going to, or I'm going to add the or my event is equals to create link. So what is going to happen then? Inside here, we're going to create an order variable. So the variable we're going to create is let URL equals to, then we're going to have a prompt. So what prompt we do is basically to create a small pop-up for us. So insert link here. So basically then what will here thanks to this particular URL here. So if I should go back, okay, in text editor here, and if okay, let's say I have hello highlights, and we have these two, right? We've written the conditional for this. So let's say I just click on this, it automatically brings a pop-up. Okay, so I want it to go to www.google.com and click on OK. So we see that automatically it has added an hyperlink. So we do something similar for this format block also. So I'm going to highlight this. So I'm going to write my else statement, else condition. So I'm going to put else. Okay, I can just drop to another line just in case. Else if, okay, so if my event is equals to the format block, so what is going to happen? So what will happen is we define another variable. So I'm going to put my let, okay, formatting value equals to. Now we're going to, one other thing I did which I mesh is, now I created another data element. So this particular data attribute further, so it depends on whatever what's it called, whatever block element you want to add. So block quotes pre h1 h2 h3. So if it's equals to format block, then let formatting value equals, so button dot dataset dot, now we used block, okay, let it be equals to that. So once we've added our formatting value, then we're going to execute this. So I'm just going to copy this and then paste it here. So instead of having URL, we are going to have formatting value. So we're going to have our formatting value. Okay, so let's check that out. So right here, if I should type something such as hello world, and then let me type something like heading 1, heading 1, heading 2, and heading 3. Okay, so heading 1, if I should click on this, whoa, it's added. All right, looking nice. Heading 2, and then heading 3. So same way if we have, let's say, a block quote, it's going to format it. So you can decide that another thing you can work on later on is improving this particular block quote. For example, you might add a border here, so to show that yes, this is actually a block quote. Okay, so let's get back to our code. Then finally, if it's not, so else, so what should it do? If let's say it doesn't fall into any of those conditions, then it's just execute this particular command. So I'm just going to cut it from there, and then at the core of our program, yeah, our little program, our little application are working. So let's say, for example, let's go and search for a Google image. So let's just go to the web and search for an image. Okay, so I'm going to go to images. Okay, so I have this nice image here. So okay, so we have this particular image here. I can just copy it, come here, and okay, the next line, okay, insert, then click on OK. Okay, see, we have our image right here. So I can come here, let's say, search for another image. Let's say um come to, I don't know, let's say cat. Okay, let's go to images. Oh, these are all cats. So you can view the image to see if the dimension is okay, but since we don't really need that, okay, let's just use that and insert and okay, let's see. All right, that works. So we have both of our images right here. So we see that our application simply works. So I'm going to close these tabs. All right. Now the next thing we want to work on is ensuring that, okay, this guy here actually works. So our full screen mode. Okay, let's delve back into our code. Now, right here, I'm going to create another variable. So what we want to do is we want to select this floating button since that's going to be the catalyst for everything happening. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create floating button button. So I'm going to put it document dot query selector. So I'm going to put it, I think, what class did we use? Let's check. All right. Mm, okay, right here, floating button. So we come back here and then floating button. Right. So what I'm going to do is an event listener for floating button. So floating button. So what will happen whenever you are clicked? So let's add an event listener. So we're going to make it click. We're going to listen for the click event. And then what is going to happen in the click event is some series of things. Going to do is I'm going to create some styling. So because we want that whenever we click on this, it should add some particular style. So I'm just going to create the um, styling right now. Okay, so the three additional classes we created are the full screen title, the full screen text editor, and then the full screen output. So we're going to see what that does in a moment, but first let's see if our click actually works. So what I'm going to do is we're going to create an alert. So you clicked on full screen. Okay, so let's go and check that out to see if it works. So click on this, you click on full screen. Okay, so that obviously shows that it is working. All right, so what we want to do is whenever we click on this, we want to automatically add these classes to some of the elements we already have. So we're going to come right here. Okay, um the first thing we want to do is our to exist. So what I'm going to do is come here, let my title, or let's just put my heading, equals to document dot query selector. So what are we selecting? We want to select dot title here. I think I remember, and then we want to put it that okay, my heading dot class list. So once the class, so this is going to return all of the classes we had. Then want toggle. So basically what we're telling it is whenever you click, add it. When you click again, remove it. So what class list do we want to add? We want to add this one, which we added right here, full screen title. So, and what does this full screen title does? It's set the display to none. So let's try that. So whenever I click on this, okay, we're having a bit of an issue. Okay, so we have a bit of an issue. Oh, so there shouldn't be a dot here. So let's see. And so we see that there is a bit of change. Whenever we click on this, it's adding that. So our code is working. So the next thing I'm going to, okay, select the text editor. So the text editor, I'm going to come here. So we're going to create another variable. Let text editor main equals to document. Okay, document dot query selector. So we're going to select it. So all I just have to do is, if I'm selecting with class, copy the class. So I'm going to and paste. So remember to put a dot here whenever you want to select selector. So okay, then I'm going to come right here and text editor main dot class list dot toggle. So what we want to do is we want to toggle a particular style. So what we are going to do is we are going to toggle this particular class. So whenever we click, it should toggle this. So and if you look at it, what I just basically did was sent the height 100% and the margin I had it earlier, make it 0. So if I should come right here and let's test that, let's see how that works out. Wow, it's looking okay, but then we see that it's not full. So what we want is that this body also should be full screen. So basically I'm going, so the body, the main content body, I think we added a div of content output. So I'm going to copy that. So what I'm going to do is create another variable. Let's, okay, content output equals to document dot query selector. So okay, my dot first and then content output. So my content output so is going to toggle something, so which is content output dot class list dot toggle. So what class is it going to toggle? So right here it's the one I've created, which is full screen output, so 580 pixels. So remember to remove the dots. All right, I think let's just add a semicolon. All right, I think things should looking a bit better now. Who things are looking a bit better now. If it seems too um long for you, you can just, all you just have to do is right here, whatever you set it to. So if I set it to 550, so by the time I get back to here, you see it has changed that automatically. So if I should reduce it to, let's say, 500, now you see that has also reduced. So I think 550 is a fit. All right, so the last thing we want to do is, now if you notice in our original um application we have, whenever we click on this, the icon here changes. It changes. So that's the thing we want to do here. So we want to make sure that the icon also changes whenever we do this. So here's what we're going to do for that. I'm going to come back right here. So basically the knowledge logic we're going to be using is just this if statement we also use here. So we'll just be telling it if we are in full screen mode, you should change the icon. So that's basically what we are telling it. And how do we do that? We are going to listen, check for one of these conditions. So let's say, okay, I'm going to put if my if. So I'm going to, you can select any one of these though. So, but I think I'm going to select content output. So content output dot class list dot contains. So basically we are checking for our content output. If it contains this full screen output, then we're going to put, okay, if it contains full screen output, then what happen exactly? Okay, I think that needs a closing quote. All right, so what is going to happen when it contains this? So we're going to come here and we're going to change the classes that are here. We're going to change the classes that are here. So basically what I'm going, so we're going to remove this particular icon. Remember the icons are based, icon fonts we're using are based on the classes. So I'm going to copy this class first. So what we're going to do is we've already defined in our code, we've already defined this floating button. So what I'm going to do is floating button dot, so child node. So what this basically does, it returns all of the children under this particular element. So of one element under this. So let's so if I should say floating button dot child nodes, okay, let's just try and see how that works actually. So back into what we have here. So I'm going to open up the console, and then I'm going to use full screen. I think we should have, yeah, full screen dot child node. Okay, let's see. Okay, so sorry, we should log that console dot log full screen dot child nodes. So what does that give us? Oh, I just realized that floating button. Let's just copy this. So all right, and I'm going to put this floating button dot child nodes, and you see it returns a node list. Now inside that node list we have just one element, which is this guy here. So we can see right here, this is what we have right here. So we're going to, let me just clear the console and just drag it down a bit. We might need it later. So what I'm going to just access that we're going to use the numbering going to do is class list. So remember we've used class list before, should not be strange. So when, if it contains the full screen output, that means whenever it's in full screen mode, so what should happen? Dot, we're going to remove, oh sorry, we're going to remove this. So I'm going to copy this. So it's going to remove this, but it's then going to add another class list, so which is this. So instead of expanding, the other one we want to use is actually compress. So then we have an else statement, which is else, sorry, else. So then what is going to happen? The reverse is going to happen. So I'm just going to copy this here. All right, so it's going to, oh, I just saw a mistake I made. hard, remove. Okay, then this is supposed to be hard. So let's see if that actually works, because actually, all right, it should. Let's click on this. We see it's changing. So that's basically what we needed to do. And I think it's safe to say that we've done a great, if you're able to get to this point, I think you've done well. So, and don't forget, there are various things you can do to improve this. Making it that whatever you save, whatever you have here, can be saved or downloaded, and some other additional fixes you might um want to add. Here, another thing you might notice in the file you have at the source code you have at GitHub is, if I should view the source, and I intentionally left that in case you might want to try it out. So if you should check here, the script file is here. Now you will notice here I used a for loop, which was intentional just for you to know, okay, you could also use a for loop instead of a for each loop. But then for this, the for each method, it's more efficient. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the video if you like and enjoy it or learned everything from it also. And stay tuned as I'll be releasing other projects we are going to be crushing together. Thank you very much.